That's the kind of mindset you have to have if you're going to make a routine out of exercise. And the importance of having a routine with exercise is that that's the only way you're going to get benefits from it. That's the only way you're going to get results from it. If you make it something that you consistently do a few times a week. Okay. So that's why you want a routine. And what I've talked about here is how you make a routine. Hey, y'all, good morning. So, I want to talk a little bit about how I got started with my exercise routine that I do pretty much every morning, at least during the weekdays. So, this is for those of you who've been having trouble trying to figure out when you're going to have time to exercise or how to kind of get like a routine going. Maybe you do exercise sometimes, but you just don't do it enough to kind of get like good results. So basically what I do these days is I go out. I always I don't go to a gym. I always go to a nearby track and get my work in. What I do changes every morning, but it's typically about 8:15 in the morning. I'll be out there for about 30 to 45 minutes. Well, usually about 30, maybe a smidge more than 30 minutes. Now, and I'm consistent with that. And basically, what I do is I drop my kids off at school and then I head straight out there. Unless the weather is inclement. And I'm not talking about drizzling. I'm not talking about, like even relatively steady rain. I'm talking about hard rain and, of course, lightning and stuff like that. I'm not gonna be out there then. But that's I do that. I always wear workout clothes in the morning and I go get it in. Okay. And so, but how did I get that habit? This is kind of for those of you who are having an issue with identifying a good time. So I kind of thought through kind of like my process of kind of developing that. And it wasn't really like I went through these steps in my head, but I just wanted to kind of create some steps to kind of help you to think about it a little bit more systematically as you try to think about how to get your exercise in. First thing is I identify the time. So for me, especially since I work from home now, one of the best times for me to work out and kind of really get it in is early in the day and specifically after I drop my kids off at school. Like literally right after that, the track is close to my kids' school. It's also close to my home. So I can just go right there, straight to it. Okay. So that's the first thing. Now you may not necessarily be able to identify a time like right off the top of your head. If you cannot, this is where you need to, as folks say, make the time. You need to find something and carve it out. And if you have an excuse for not being able to do that, I'm just gonna put it like this: you may not be serious enough to get this thing started. And I don't mean any harm by that. But what I'm saying is you do have time to exercise. Like people say something like exercise, Dr. Mark Hyman, he calls it essentially like a fountain of youth, if there is any. Exercise is incredibly important. Really, movement in general is so important for health and longevity and mobility and so much that you shouldn't not be doing it. You have to be exercising. So if you can't make time to do something that is that vital to your well-being, then I really don't know what else to say. It has to be one of those things that is like paramount to like even your existence. So identify time. Second thing is remove any obvious hurdles to you exercising. So the stuff I have in mind is stuff like having clothes. Don't look. So get some exercise clothes, okay? But even with that, don't complicate it. Like, oh, I didn't have my Nike headband, or I didn't have the shorts that I wanted to wear. Sometimes you just gotta like get whatever you can get. Okay. And so if it wasn't like the perfect workout clothes, or even if it's like a t-shirt and some basketball shorts you got laying around or something, please don't let that be a hurdle to you. Don't, because I see that a lot. Like a lot of times people are like, well, I didn't really have the things I really, really, really wanted. But again, for movement and exercise to be so important and us kind of like let little things like that hold us back, I think that it's totally unnecessary. And it's like it's just unnecessary. So whether again, like I said, like, if you go to a gym, weather shouldn't be an issue for you. Even if it's raining, it shouldn't really be an issue for you, unless you're leaving home or something like that, and then it's like tornadic weather. For you to get to the gym, you might not want to do that. But at the same time, you could work out at home. You could have a contingency plan and have some calisthenics that you do. That's kind of like my specialty. Or you might have some dumbbells or something at the house where you can get something in. So like that's another way you can remove the weather hurdle, or your kids. That's something that sometimes I have to like do a little more thinking around. When my kids are in school, it's a whole lot easier for me. When they're home, I have to a lot of times kind of figure out how to incorporate them, or if my wife is here, then I can leave them with her, or we make it a family trip, or I bring them with me to exercise. But you have to be very intentional about it. Remove those hurdles. So that's number 2. And number 3 is just do it. And the reason why I say that is because we have a tendency to rationalize the mess out of stuff. We have the tendency to, when we get up to the moment of decision, well, I got to get to that work, or I just not feeling it today. I'll get to it tomorrow. All those kind of things. But what I want you to do right now, if you're gonna have a routine of exercise, whether it be morning, mid morning, noon, I wouldn't really encourage nighttime because exercise can keep you up if you do that. But if you're going to make a routine out of it, you need to go ahead and decide now that you're not going to rationalize. You need to make it like a light switch. Make your decision, or your action rather, like a light switch. Switch. I'm going. Nothing else. Come what may. I'm going. Period. Nothing can stop me. I'm doing it. Okay? Um, but that's the kind of attitude that you have to have if you're going to make a routine out of exercise. And I'm telling you that because I know it to be true. This has been my attitude toward exercise, even before I was uh, you know, working here from home. I had my 9 to 5 job, and I would exercise there. Thankfully, we were given time to go and work out. But that wasn't always the case. We used to have to just work out after work. So what would I do? I would go to the gym right after work. So again, that's the kind of mindset you have to have if you're going to make a routine out of exercise. And the importance of having a routine with exercise is that that's the only way you're going to get benefits from it. That's the only way you're going to get results from it. If you make it something that you consistently do a few times a week. Okay. So that's why you want a routine. And what I've talked about here is how you make a routine. All right. Y'all have a good one. If you like this content, you might also be interested in one of my books. Learn how you can take steps literally today to successfully manage, control, and overcome common issues such as high blood pressure, diabetes, and belly fat. It's all about putting power back in your hands to improve your own health. Get your book copy today by the links in the description or by visiting seanmcclennan.com/books. Also, don't forget, hit the like button and subscribe, and join my email list at seanmcclendon.com/subscribe.